Morning, Mary.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Monday. It's a chilly one. Man, that wind. Holy cow. And yesterday was miserable. It's great for laying on the couch though. Alright. Accidents, 257 days without chargeable accidents. Awesome job. Your important dates for January have been put in your mailboxes. Winter break. I don't know how many of you have looked at the calendar very closely for Geneva, but it's kind of a weird one this year. Just to make sure everyone knows, we do go that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday right before Christmas. Right? So we do transport Geneva students on that Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday right before Christmas.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Geneva students, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right before Christmas. And Christmas is Saturday. We go right up through Wednesday. And then we also have high school finals that week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, so we'll be having high school drivers in the middle of the day as well. Let's see. We are putting together like a little, almost like spreadsheet for you guys to take a look at for check-in times. And then we're also putting one together for those weeks that we're off. So like the week after Christmas, we have just one driver out. But then that following week, the week out right before Christmas, when Geneva is going, some of the SPED are starting their Christmas break. So they're gonna come back that first week in January, whereas Geneva doesn't come back until the following week, because they leave late, yeah. So,
That sucks.
yeah, it's not fun this year. But we do have, like I said, we're putting together a spreadsheet so that hopefully everyone knows where they're supposed to be, kind of like we did for Thanksgiving. Who's going when. And we will contact parents when there's only a few students going for the week to make sure their student is going. So I wanted to go over, we have had some situations where I know Angela had just sent out for you guys to review your seating charts and make any corrections. And everyone was supposed to return them, even if there were no corrections. You're to sign them and turn them back in. We've only gotten 24 back. So if you need a new copy, let us know. We'll print you another one. But you do need to make sure that all the students have a seat, number one. And number two, siblings are together. Any questions on that? Even if there was, say, a mistake at the beginning of the year and you had siblings that were not seated together, they need to be together. That's an update that needs to be done. There shouldn't be any empty seats. Unless you only have, say, 10 kids on the bus, there shouldn't be, I know sometimes it's hard when we're trying to separate students because some of them get a little too wound up. But we can't have empty seats and have other kids bunched up.
Are we using that seat behind the driver?
If we don't need to, we're not. And then, okay, so I sent that email out about the windows. And so that guidance is one or the other. And then, we had already checked into those, purifiers that they put on the, buses. And one of the things that's required with that is for the bus to be completely closed. Otherwise, it's trying to purify outside air that keeps coming in. Well, with the way the windows can drop down and the opening and closing of the door, it just doesn't make sense to do that. At least not right now. Maybe if technology gets up a little bit better, we'll look into it again, but we think the best thing would be for those windows to be just, and all it takes is an inch. That's all they're asking for. They didn't say both sides. They just said one in the front, one in the middle, one in the back. So if you maybe stagger them, that will work. Oh, Matt has a picture for you.
We still keep our roof vents open if we like.
As long as the kids aren't getting wet, being rained on, and the temperature holds, you know, I mean, if they're freezing, we have to do the windows. But,
Hatches are optional, okay,
yeah. I have a problem with you guys telling the kids, you're gonna have to dress for the weather. You know, cause this is what has to be done so that they're not getting contact trace. Another thing we've had happen is they go to do contact tracing and we had a principal this happened twice now, get on a bus and the students are not in the seat that we have them in. So we have to make sure that the kids are sitting in the right seats, otherwise, again, the wrong kids are getting taken out of school. And part of it might be, I thought I'd go over this as well, part of it might be, you know, if a principal moves a student and you just think they're gonna update their paperwork, they don't. Because that comes from us. Those seating charts come from us. So if there's a change, you have to let us know, and then we will fix the seating chart and send a new one over to the school. Any questions on any of that? What? Oh. Well, lights on. me. Matt, do we have a date for the Christmas gifts for the family? That they need me?
15th.
Yep, just a reminder, so if you, took one of the, tags off of the tree, the 15th is when they're due.
15th?
Yep, 15th. And if anybody, we have wrapping paper and scissors and tape, if anybody wants to help wrap, some of the ones that didn't get wrapped, let us know. Field trips. So, if you guys have a high school trip, especially during the day, that has gone, like, say, downtown Chicago, and they're supposed to be back at 2, they're supposed to be back at 2. And I don't care what they say to you, even if you have to call me, to say, hey, if we don't get out of here, we're not gonna make it on time. Because they've been told twice now, or at least administration over there has been told, those buses have to be back on time. We just do not have the bodies to cover. You know, last time we were lucky, they only had to go to do a St. Pete's route. But if someone has an elementary route, honestly, they're not gonna make it if those buses aren't back by 2. So, either speak up or call one of us in the office, and we'll call the high school. And then, we had a call from the high school, wanting to know if they could book May 14th, which is going to be prom, for 17 buses to go from the high school to the Field Museum from 5 till 11:30.
Arte.
Right. I do have an email back into that teacher to find out, like, what do these drivers do for this time?
Where do you park?
Right. Is there parking for them? Are they gonna be able to come inside? You know what I mean? Just to get a little bit more of what's going to be expected.
What are the times? 5 something or other?
Pickup is at 5 o'clock and drop off is 11:30. I won't hold you to it, I just wanna see a show of hands, any interest in that, cause I don't wanna tell them that we'll do it and then find out I don't have enough people interested. 2?
It's too soon to figure it out.
I know, it's May.
Yeah. So usually it's parked down by a golf course.
I can't remember, I know we've done it in the past, but have they had you guys come inside and eat or anything?
No, they park.
Yeah, well, Mike and I did, remember the year that they had all the coach buses?
Yeah.
They messed up the count, they had 2, so Mike and I did 2.
Uh-huh,
We just parked right there.
yeah. Okay.
And the coach buses went down to,
Golf course.
the golf course there on the other side.
Okay.
But there is a place to park and
Turn
drive.
that up.
Yeah.
What?
The library, to turn up that golf course on there, the library, Ohio library.
Okay.
Yeah, we just parked right there.
Yeah, so we'll get more information.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
They could buy
I
us
use the
one,
little
they
bus
could
for
buy
it,
us
but it's the same concept.
tailgate, yes, Westgate.
Alright, so this obviously is a smaller bus, but you get the idea of where, makes more sense to have the one by you open, right? Keep the air flowing from you. Unless you always have your driver's window open, and I would do the opposite side, but just do like a zigzag pattern to keep the air flowing.
But if you notice, this black line here is your line of how far the windows can go down. Took a tape measure and measured it in the first notch, that is 3 inches. You don't have to go down very far.
Questions?
No.
Okay, just keep in mind, that these students, if we don't follow these rules, then these students are getting quarantined and, prefer that they be in school, obviously, as much as they can be. Holy cow, look at your Alright, any questions at all on any of that?
You know, it just, all this is just seems so goofy. We drop them kids off and they're all like, together. You get on the bus, they don't have their masks on, they'll pull them down, you'll catch them and then they get them up. There's no distancing, there's nothing. We're doing all this and what for?
Yeah.
That's just my opinion from what I see.
Well, we still have to do our part in trying to keep, the students from being quarantined. Because again, they are much better off in front of a teacher than looking at a screen from home trying to learn.
Yeah, I agree with that, but we're doing all this stuff and everything's changing daily and now we gotta open up windows. You know, I don't know.
The guidance does continually change,
Yeah.
believe me, I get the frustration. But we need to go with, what the latest guidance is and what
Yeah.
they're saying. I can tell you, Thursday and Friday, the amount of calls we got for contact tracing was ridiculous. I mean, it's definitely going up again, which I think we all pretty much knew was gonna happen after Thanksgiving. So, again, they are considered a close contact, they get pulled from school, so we're just trying to keep it to where if those windows are cracked, they're wearing their masks properly, then they don't have to get quarantined. Jeannie?
Are they doing a 15-minute close contact? What are they designating as close contact?
They
What
do,
period of time?
as far as I know, it's still 15 minutes. But what they're saying as far as having those windows down is they don't, it would be someone within 3 feet rather than 3 to 6 feet. So it takes the spacing, where it's only those within 3 feet. Any other questions? No? Alright, well, I'm gonna turn it over to Matt. And I didn't do shop, I didn't open your anything.
They did this one. Oh. From the shop, just a reminder that with it getting cold out, we need to start bringing the spray bottles in. So at the end of the night, if you're parked here, you need to bring your spray bottles in and put them on the table over by the shop door. If you park at the middle schools, there are boxes at both north and south for you to place them in. If you, at the middle schools, the guys are gonna come over in the middle of the day and fill your bottles. So if you need it filled, bring it in after AM routes. And they will fill it up for you.
So that's standard, so if we need it filled any day.
If you
So
need
bring
it
it
filled
in at
any
the
day,
place,
bring
or-
it in during the middle of the day.
Oh, okay.
It's easier for them to do that because Jeremy does the fluid checks first thing in the morning. So it's easier for him to just come over and do all of them at once after morning routes. Alright. Any other questions on spray bottles? Alright, so we're gonna go over pre-trip. And I know how much you guys loved the pre-trip inspection game from the refresher at the beginning of the year. So we are going to use the same thing again. Now, I know I don't have the sheets for you this time like we did before.
You running out of things for safety meetings?
Good point.
No, this is, we keep track of what we do every year, and this is, for December, we've always done pre-trip. So again, this is an example one. There's gonna be numbers, and I have to match up the number with the part. All right, so. What is number one pointing at? That is your safety lane sticker. What are you checking for on the safety lane sticker? Your date and the mileage. Making sure it needs to be done twice a year and cannot exceed 10,000 miles. So every 10,000 has to be done, so whatever that sticker says, you cannot exceed that. Number two, what is that pointing at? That is your wiper arm. Number three, that is your wiring. I know the mechanics check all of the under the hood stuff for you, but you guys still have to know that. What would you look for on the wiring? Frayed, cracked, broken.
Nine from mice. I'm always thinking, when I open up that battery thing, I'm always thinking of something's gonna jump out at me.
It's possible.
I know.
mean, we're surrounded by field, it's possible. Number four is brake fluid. You guys don't have these on the big buses. If you have a little bus, you would have this. But you do need to make sure you're checking it, making sure that the fluid is at the appropriate level and that the container is not leaking. What is number five? That is your dipstick. That one is currently pointing at the transmission dipstick, but you would check them both the same. Other than oil, you cannot check while running. Transmission, you would check while the vehicle is running. All right, other side of the engine. What is number one pointing to? Your hoses. What are you checking for on the hoses? Cracks, bulges, leaks. Number two is your fan and your belt. What are you checking for on the belt? Cracks, fraying,
Missing teeth.
play. You don't want any more than a 1/4 inch of play either direction. Number three,
Power steering.
it is your power steering. Making sure that it is within the minimum and add level, and it will have two of each, one for when the bus is cold and one for when it's hot. So if you just shut the bus down and you're checking it, you wanna make sure it's above the hot add level. Making sure the container's not cracked or leaking. What's number four? Steering arm or steering shaft. Making sure it's not cracked, broken, damaged, securely mounted, not dented. All right. Number one. Number one is pointing to this one here. Yep, that is your steering box. You're looking to make sure that it's not leaking and that it's securely mounted. Number two. Yep, that is your shock absorber. What are you checking for on the shock absorber? Not leaking. Oh, that is securely mounted. Number 3, pointing to the steer. Yes, that is your leaf spring. What are you checking for on the leaf spring?
Cracks, breaks.
Cracks, breaks, missing or shifted leaves, that it's securely mounted. Number 4, not the, no, we said steering arm, we're looking at this one here, it's not the either arm.
It's not like the sway bar, is it on this one?
No, not the sway bar, but similar type of part. That's your drag link right there. This one is your pitman arm right here. This is your drag link.
Okay.
You're making sure it's not cracked, broken, damaged, and that it's secured to the pitman arm and the tie rod with cotter pins and castle nuts. And number 5, it's hard to tell, it's pointing at your frame. You're making sure that it's not cracked, dented, broken in any way. Alright, inside of the tire. So this one uses hydraulic disc brakes. So if you guys were to look inside of the tire right now, you guys are going to see, on the little buses, you would see hydraulic disc brakes. On the big buses, you're gonna see drums with an air chamber. So it's gonna look a little bit different depending on what you're driving. Number 1 is your brake shield.
Oh, where'd it go?
Cool. And it's not gonna come back.
There.
There it is. This is your brake shield. So what this does is it keeps everything from coming in from behind it, getting into the disc. Making sure that it's in place, not cracked, broken, or damaged. What is number 2? Yep, that is your brake caliper. Making sure all the lines are securely connected to it, and it's not cracked, broken, or damaged. What is number 3? Brake lines. So regardless of what type of brakes you have, what are you looking for on your brake lines? Cracks, leaks, that they're securely in place. What is number 4?
Tire.
It is your tire. What are you looking for on the sidewall of the tire? Bulges, cracks, gouges, cords. Alright, outside of the tire, what is number 1? That is your tread. What are you looking for on the tread? Yep. Front can't be any less than 4/30 seconds. What about the back? 2/30 seconds. Making sure that the tread is even. What else about the front can't you have? Retreads. No retreads. Alright, we already did number 2 on the other side. Number 3. That is your hub. What are you looking for on the hub? Leaks. That the nuts that are holding it in place or the bolts are securely fastened. Number 4. Lug nuts. What are you looking for? Rust. Shiny threads indicate they might be coming loose. Number 5.
Is that the rim?
It is your rim. What are you looking for on the rim?
Same thing, that is not cracked or shiny.
Yep. No cracks, dents, no welds other than factory. And number 6 is hard to tell, but it's pointing to your valve stem. Making sure that the valve stem is in place, secure, not bent, and that it has a cap on it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Yes, this one has a lot of arrows. Alright. Number 1 is again pointing to your electrical. You check this the same as we did the other side. Number 2 is pointing to your hoses. Number 3, that is your oil dipstick. That will always be orange or yellow. For our big buses, they're both on the same side of the engine, they wouldn't be on different sides. But you would check it the same as the transmission. What's number 4?
Alternator.
Your alternator. What are you checking for on the alternator?
Probably.
So cracks, that it's mounted properly, that the wiring is attached securely. Number 5 is your belt and fan again.
Oh.
And number 6, that is your coolant or antifreeze. What are you checking for?
Level.
Appropriate level, it's not leaking, not cracked. Your service door, what is number 1?
Looks like a rubber.
It is your door seals and glass. What are we checking for?
Cracks.
Cracks, missing, any dents, any chips, anything like that. Number 2,
Rail.
that is your handrail. What are we checking for?
Make sure it's secure.
Make sure it's secured. And number 3, that is your step tread. Making sure that it's not filling up, not bubbling, securely mounted, that it's clean. Alright, driver's compartment. Number 1,
Radio.
that is your radio. Should be checking to make sure that that's working every day. Number 2,
Switches.
that is your switches. You make sure that they all work correctly. Number 3, what are you checking for on the steering wheel?
No more than 2 inches.
Nothing now.
No more than 2 inches or 10% play in the steering wheel. It's a 20-inch steering wheel around. Making sure there's no cracks. Number 4, it's actually pointing to your gear shift. Yeah, it's a hard one to tell there. What will you check for on your gear shift? Exactly, that it doesn't start in any gear other than neutral. And I know some of our big buses from sitting are getting a little stiff, so you're making sure that it actually shifts into the other gears.
Yeah,
If yours is stiff, let us know, because the guys can lube that up and that gets running through the gears. And number 5 is hard to tell, but it's pointing to your pedals. What do you, yes, Bill?
No.
Oh, okay.
Stuff that the rubber's not missing crack or
Yep.
anything like that.
Making sure that
No
it's-
wires or obstructions.
make sure you got pedals.
And the pedals.
Yes, that your pedals work, that there's nothing under them, the material's not peeling.
I've been in a truck before where the rubber was gone.
Alright. Looking at your instrument cluster, your dash. Number 1 is pointing to your transmission. Once it's warmed up, where should your transmission temperature be?
Between 150 and 200.
Yep, between 150 and 200. Number 2 is pointing to your water or your coolant. Where should that be once it's warmed up?
180.
About 180, it'll be between 170 and 200. Number 3 is your RPMs. The only way to test that is to actually start the bus. Number 4, everybody knows that's your miles per hour. or you should know. Number 5 is your volts. Where should that be once your alternator's running?
14.
About 14, should be between 13 and 15. Number 6 is your oil pressure. Where should that be sitting once you're warmed up?
Should be 20, 40,
And be between 20 and 40 when you're idling. If you're actually driving down the road, it'll probably be closer to 30 to 60. And 7 is your fuel. Where should that be?
Full.
It should be.
No less than that.
Half in the summer, or
Yeah.
half in the winter, quarter in the summer.
Full.
It should be no less than that. No less than a quarter in the summer, half in the winter.
But with the way the bus has been breaking down, make sure you got a full tank.
Well, we're going on 5 years with these ones, so.
Yep.
there. All right, front of the bus. What is number 1? Those are your clearance lights. What are we checking for on the clearance lights?
Make sure they're all there.
Yep. Making sure they're all there, not cracked, broken, damaged, that they're working appropriately. Number 2, that is your 8-way lights. Checking those, same as your clearance lights, making sure they're there, they're not broken, and that they're working appropriately. Number 3, windshield, same as your door glass, making sure there's no chips, cracks, dings. Number 4,
Yep.
it's your turn signals and your hazards. Number 5,
Headlights.
headlights, making sure they work on both high and low beams. Number 6,
Mirror.
those are your mirrors. What are you checking for on the mirrors?
Make sure they're not closed.
Not cracked, broken, that they're set, that the heat works on them. Number 7, that is your crossing arm, crossing gate, child gate, whichever one you wanna call it. You're making sure that that is working appropriately, it's not cracked or bent.
When you're downtown, it's like kids is
Alright, number 1,
Side window.
that is your driver's window. Same as your door glass and your windshield, and then making sure that it opens and closes freely. Number 2, your electrical box, what are you looking for in there?
Just to make sure everything looks good.
Yep, making sure you're not finding any squirrels, mice, anything out of the ordinary. We have breakers in there, not fuses, but you're just looking for anything out of the ordinary. Number 3, is your stop arm. Making sure that it works appropriately and it's not cracked, broken, or damaged. Number 4, they so lovingly labeled for you in the picture. That is your battery box. What are we looking for in there?
Sleeping animals.
Corrosion, sleeping animals, anything out of the ordinary, making sure the batteries are secured in place. Number 1,
Clearance.
that is your clearance light. On the side of the bus, what are you looking for your clearance lights? That they light up, that they're not cracked, broken, damaged, that they're there. And you're also checking to make sure that the 2 in front of the dual, so from the dual to the front of the bus, are amber. The rear one should be red. Number 2 is your windows. Same as all your other glass, making sure there's no chips, cracks, anything like that, that they open and close freely. Number 3 is your lettering, making sure that it's not peeling and that it's legible. Number 4, that is your reflective tape. Same as the lettering, making sure it's not peeling or torn, and it's all clearly visible. Number 5, that is your wheel. What's different about the back from the front? You can have retreads, 2 30-seconds tread. How about that there's 2 of them back there that you're checking instead of 1? You gotta stick your arm in between them, make sure nothing's obstructing them. Number 1, it's your clearance lights again. The ones in the back of the bus should be red, not orange, like the front. Number 2, school bus sign, what are we checking on that?
Not torn, frail, legible.
Not torn, frayed, peeling, it's legible. Number 3, those are your rear 8-ways, checking those the same as the front. Number 4, it's your windows and your seals. Checking the windows, same as you do any of the other windows, except these ones you have stickers on that you want to make sure that are not peeling or are clearly visible. You want to make sure that your window seals in the back are securely fastened in there. Number 5,
Lenses.
that is your rear door. What are you checking with the rear door? That it works, that it stays open. What else? That the alarm goes off. Number 6 is pointing to 3 different lights. What are they?
Lenses. Make sure they're not broken.
Stop, reverse, and turn signal. And your tail light. Number 7,
Bumper.
it's actually pointing to your exhaust.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're making sure that it's securely mounted and that there's nothing inside of it. Over the summer, the birds will make nests inside of there.
Cool.
Well, we found it. Over the summer, we found ones making nests inside the frames underneath the bus. They will make a nest everywhere. Number 8, that is your bumper. What are we checking for on the bumper? That it's securely mounted, it's not cracked, bent,
Ooh, no tires under it.
there's no cars under it, hopefully.
Good point.
Passenger side of the bus. Number 1, same as the other side, is your clearance light. Number 2, your windows. Number 3, what is that?
Fuel.
That is your fuel door. What are you checking for?
Make sure my cap is in there.
Yep, that your cap is on tight, that the door opens freely, that it locks. Number 4 is your tires again. Number 5 is actually pointing to underneath the bus. What are you looking for under the bus?
The hangers and the drive shaft?
Yep, your exhaust, your drive shaft, making sure that the hangers are in place, nothing's hanging, nothing's dented. If you're looking to the exhaust, you're looking for soot patterns that would indicate a leak. And number 6,
Oh, no, the reflector.
nope, Yep, this one is a gasoline bus that they're driving here. Normally there would be a DEF door there for you guys, but it is pointing to the reflector. What are we looking for in the reflectors?
Cracks.
That they're not torn, peeling, and that just like the clearance lights, they should be amber in front of the duals and red behind it. All right, number one, it's just pointing to the stickers that are in your bus in general, is what it's supposed to be pointing to. But you're making sure that they're all clear and legible, that you've got your no standees permitted, your capacity, that's all legible. Number two, that is your student mirror. Making sure it's not cracked, broken, and that it moves freely. Number three, first aid kit. What are we checking on in the first aid kit? That it is stopped. Number four, fire extinguisher. What are we looking for? Yep, that it's up to date, the gauge is in the green, and that it's securely mounted. Number five, the garbage can. Making sure that it is no more than half full and that it is securely mounted. Number one is your roof hatch. What are we checking for on the roof hatch? That it works, that it opens, the alarm goes off, that it's properly labeled. Number two, it's your emergency window. Kind of checking it the same as the hatch, making sure that it opens and closes freely, and that it is properly labeled. Number three, is your dome lights. What are you checking for with your dome lights?
If they're working.
They work, not cracked, broken. Number four, that is your seats. What are we looking for on our seats? That they are secure, no holes, tears, that the seat backings aren't worn down. Number five, checking your tread. What are we looking for on the tread? Rips, tears, bulges. Our buses are 5 years old. Your railing that runs along that is probably starting to rust. Making sure that that's not coming up, causing a tripping hazard. And that is it for the pre-trip. Any questions? All right, you guys are free to go.